Writing a book is a big project. So you know that. Anybody who wants to write a book knows that it's a big project. It's going to take a long time. And so what do you need to complete that book? Most people would say you need to be motivated. You need to have some type of motivation that's making you want to take on this project. But I'm going to say it's more than motivation. It's a determination. And so today I'm going to talk about the difference. What's the difference between being motivated to write a book or being determined to write it and finish it? You have a story to tell, but you don't know where to start. Let me show you how to free your story. I teach you how to write and how to dig deep in your soul to release your story and make a difference in the world. Welcome to the Julia Amante channel. If we're just meeting, I am Julia Amante, and thank you for joining me here on my channel where I talk to you about how to write a book, give you tips, and hopefully a little inspiration to get your book written. So today, let's talk about the difference between motivation and determination. So I'm going to read a quote. I'm reading a book written by Chris Wark. I think that's how you spell his name, W-A-R-K. And it's actually a book on health. So I want to try to get a little healthier this year. And he actually wrote it because of his journey that he's been on. He was diagnosed with cancer, and he decided to, obviously to fight it. He had surgery, and then afterwards he wanted to make sure that it never came back, right? To get his body in really great condition so that cancer could not, couldn't live in his body. And he has this one quote in there that I thought was really good, not only for people who, are determined to get healthy, but also for anybody who's determined to accomplish any goal. So the quote is, I want to put my glasses on because I can't see further than like that camera with my glasses off. So what he says is that the difference between successful people and unsuccessful people is not motivation. Motivation is unpredictable and unreliable. It's easy to be motivated when you start something new and exciting. But when the excitement wears off, so does the motivation. And lack of motivation becomes an excuse for inaction. I completely agree with that. I really like that because it's true, right? When we first start something, so when we first start writing, for example, we are usually motivated because we're excited. We decided, okay, we're finally going to write the story that we love, that's been in our heart, that has kind of consumed our thoughts, maybe more and more over the years. And then, so we're motivated. We're like, yeah, this is really exciting. We're finally going to get it done. I'm going to accomplish this. And then what happens over time? Maybe at first you're like, yep, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to get on my computer and I'm going to, I'm going to dedicate this hour every day to do it. And then, maybe that goes well for a week. Maybe it goes well for a couple of weeks. And then maybe somewhere along the line, the third week, a month into it, something happens, you get tired, somebody, something else comes along that doesn't, that interferes with that writing time. And what do? It's like, okay, well, just this once, I'm going to skip this writing time and I'm going to go take care of this other thing. Or, it starts to get hard. Like you start to realize that, well, it's not as easy as I thought. And, maybe I could just watch TV today, or maybe I need to do a little more research, or maybe I need to get better at some skill. And so what happens is that motivation starts to die out, right? You start to not do what you said you're going to do. So Chris goes on to say that there's a difference, right, between motivation and determination. Okay, so what Chris says, let me read it so that I get it right and I don't misquote him. Okay, so what he says is that what keeps people going when their motivation is low is determination. Determination is the force inside you that cannot be stopped when the storms of life come against you. Determination is doing what you know needs to be done, whether or not you feel like it at the time. Okay, so to me, the difference between motivation and determination is that with motivation, it's something that I want to do. Okay, so I may want to write a book. I may want to lose weight, for example. So it's something that I want to do, and I'm motivated by it because I know that there are benefits, right? There are going to be benefits if I get this done. So if I lose weight, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to be healthier. If I write my book, I'm going to be proud that I've got this book finished, and I'm going to feel better about myself, and I'm going to be happy that I actually accomplished this large goal. So I am motivated to do it because of these reasons, right? It's this desire I have to get it done. But there's a difference between wanting to do something, even if it's good for you, even if you understand the benefits, right? I want to do something. I just want to do it. And I think when you're determined to do something, it's that more that you need to. Okay, as I'm reading his book about cancer, it's a life and death thing for him, right? So he is determined to learn how to eat well, how to eat healthy, what to eat that doesn't cause cancer in his body. So he's very, very determined to do it. Now, we are writing a book. It's not a life and death thing, although it could be, right? So if you are in a place where you need to get this story down for some reason, it could be. I don't think I'm exaggerating by saying that it could save somebody's life. I know there have been writers that have sat down to write something and just pouring out their soul onto, the screen or the paper or whatever, helps them to deal with their problems, their issues, the memories that they have, whatever. And so I think that it could very well be something that needs to be done, right? That is kind of a life and death. You can live again once you take this burden off your shoulder. So it could be, but for most of us, I don't think it is. It's not a life and death thing, but if it could be, everything. There's a lot of psychological things that go on in our brain, and maybe we have this desire to write because who knows, right? Maybe once we do write it, it does release something inside of us that that needs to be released. It might just be the story, but we have this determination to get it done and to finish it. I think another difference to me between motivation and determination is that I'm motivated to write almost every day. Okay. I'm motivated to write because I love to write, because it relaxes me, because I love to tell stories. So I'm motivated to do it, but not every day. So there are some days where I'm really not motivated to do it, but I do it anyways because I'm determined to get the story done. So I may not feel motivated every day, but I'm always determined to get the book done, if that makes sense. Okay, that determination doesn't go away. From day to day, I may be less or more motivated to sit down and get the work done, but I'm always determined to finish the book. And I think writers are motivated by and determined by different things. So I've been to many workshops and I've heard many speakers, and there have been some speakers who have shared their story, right, of writing because at the time they had young children. They didn't have, they some of them might have needed the money, so financially they thought, okay, well, I love writing, and I'm gonna try to write because I'm gonna use like my last dollar to try to write this and publish it because it gives me an opportunity to maybe someday make money. So it could be a financial, motivation and that determination to get this done, or it could be just to prove to themselves that they could get it done, and so they're determined to do it. I think that established writers are very determined to get their next novel done because they have this they have to live up to sort of their last novel. They have to continue to publish if they want to continue their career. And so I think they are determined to write that next novel. They may not be motivated every single day. I think many are, but that determination to get it done, to continue to please their fans and all of that, it helps to create that determination to get the book done, to get it written, and to get it out there to their readers. Okay, so I mentioned, and Chris Work mentioned that motivation can kind of fade sometimes. Can determination fade? I don't think so, but there are ways to maintain that determination, to remember, right, why we started something, and when we remember it, we become determined again, right? So there are a few things that you can do. Okay, so the first thing is not to rely on willpower, because willpower goes away. Willpower does. So it's like, oh no, I'm just going to be strong and I'm going to do this. If you've ever tried not to eat something that you want to eat when you're on a diet, you know that willpower is really tough. And then when we're tired or don't have as much energy, it's harder to have that willpower. So don't just rely on willpower. One of the reasons that I'm such a big fan of making sure you plan out what you need to do to write, and to have a planner and to schedule it, is because you don't have to rely on willpower. If it's something that you're used to doing, that you schedule, then you don't have to make a decision, and you don't have to will yourself to get to the table. It's just something that you do automatically. You get up first thing in the morning, you go right to your desk, you start to write. So you don't really need to make a decision, and you don't really need to rely on your willpower to do it. You just do it automatically. So I recommend definitely to schedule your writing time, and to do it, if you can, every single day at the same time, because that way there's not much thought to it. You just automatically start to do it, and it becomes sort of this habit that you do every day. Okay, the next thing is to believe that your future is entirely in your control. Okay, so I think the more that we realize that we are in control of what happens to us in the future, and by planning, by creating what we want done, we know what we want to see in the future, it makes us more determined to get there, okay? Because we know that all it takes is for us to sit down and write our book, and then that book will exist in the future. If we do what we need to do, right, every single day, we will have that story done. So we're in complete control of whether that book gets written or not. And so for me, I know that if I do this every single day, I will have my story written by the end of the year, whenever I decide. And so knowing that, I'm in control of it, it does kind of maintain that determination to get it done, because I know I'm in control of it. If I sit down and I do what I need to do, it's going to get written. And if I don't, and I make excuses, or I don't, find other things to do instead of writing, then I know that I am not going to get it finished. And it's going to be because I didn't put in the work to do it. Okay, the third way to maintain that determination is to visualize that finished product, right? So you've probably heard this before. I know I've talked about it before, but you might not even like visualization, or you might not be good at it, or meditation or anything like that. I'm not great at it either, but it's not anything too crazy. It's mostly just being able to imagine that finished project. What will it feel like when you have that book finished, when you accomplish the goal, whether it ever sells or any of that stuff. I'm not talking about that, but just having finished it. What will you feel like knowing that you created this thing that didn't exist before? How will you feel, close your eyes and think about it. Like, how will you feel when you're able to share this book and your story with your friends or your family? And then the last thing is just to remind yourself often of why you're doing this. Like, why are you taking the time to write this book? What is it that you were trying to accomplish? What is the goal? Is it to make maybe a parent proud, or to I don't know, what is it inside you, right? Because it's different for every person. But reminding yourself of why you're doing this, and telling yourself often that, hey, this is why I'm working so hard. This is why I want it. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it is just to say that you could do it. So remind yourself often, and that will help, to keep you on track. Okay, and ultimately, determination is internal. It's not like motivation. So with motivation, it could be internal or external. You may be motivated by outside things, but usually when you're determined to do something, it comes from inside of you, and you don't really need anybody else, or you don't need something to kind of push you to do something. You're doing it because you're determined to accomplish something that is, again, it's an internal thing that may not be easily defined. You might not even know really why you're determined to do it, but you just know you have to. I know for me, I would have looked back on my life if I had decided not to do it, not to try it, to see, I wanted to see if I could accomplish the goal of writing a book. And if I hadn't done it, I think I would have looked back in my life and I would have always wondered, what if I had actually tried it? And I would have wondered, would I have been talented enough? Would I have been able to accomplish it? And I didn't want that. I didn't want to be able to have to look back on my life and say there was something I wanted to do and I didn't do it for whatever reason. So that was something that made me determined to finish it, to write my first book. And then once I was successful with that, I was determined to do it again and to continue to do it and to make it a career. So it's unlike motivation. You don't really need somebody to push you, but sometimes we all want to, we want to keep that determination. We want to maintain it, right? So just some of those things that I mentioned will help you just to kind of keep going and to stay on track. So I hope this helped you to think a little bit more about why you want to write. And I think that's something that you do need to ask yourself, like, why is it? Why am I determined to get this book finished? Okay, so I hope this helped you. If it did, please hit the like button and the share button. And I hope to see you again next Friday.